Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Surviving Babylon, and here's her story. Hi, Ollie. I just made a donation. Thank you for keeping your channel going strong. You've done a video for me around a year ago called Don't Let the Narcissist Turn Your Life into the Maury Povich Show. I was HD then, but now I'll go by Surviving Babylon, the name of my channel. Your video confirmed I was right on track because I was freshly separated from my narcissist husband at the time and waiting to save enough funds to leave Wyoming, where he lured me to join him and return to Oklahoma City, my beloved adopted home, where I was happiest. My plans to leave derailed when I found out I was pregnant soon after, and we got back together right away, and more gaslighting and abuse, which intensified. I should have continued my plans, but I feared being a single mother. Also, being a Christian, I wrongly believed that it would be best for my daughter to have two parents in her life and that we would somehow work things out. Not leaving turned out to be one of the worst mistakes of my life because my nice Christian husband turned out to be the most evil, dangerous, vindictive person I've ever known. But that story will be for next time. The topic I'd like to address is just in time for Halloween season. Are narcissists demonic? There's a lot of talk in the Christian truther community asserting that narcissists are demonically possessed and oppressed. I believe it's true, and I have personal experiences that supports it. I always had thought of myself as a highly intuitive person, but seeing spirits or entities were never a regular occurrence for me. My husband and I met online, and after 2 months of him love bombing me daily with 3-hour phone calls, and we finally met up in person while he was visiting his family in Texas, where he's originally from. I was a gypsy RVer who settled in Oklahoma, so making the trip wasn't much of an inconvenience. When I returned to Oklahoma City, it was then that I saw my first shadow person. I was staying overnight at an inn with a high school friend who was visiting from out of town. The lights were out and she was fast asleep in her bed, which was closer to the exit, and I was still awake in my bed, facing the wall opposite of the exit. I was ready to go to sleep, but then noticed the shadow of the desk chair at the foot of my bed was slowly moving, as if there was a low-lit flashlight moving back and forth behind me in the distance. I flipped around and sat up and saw that room was cast with a dark red glow, which I assumed at the time was from the light on a smoke alarm. Then I saw a dark, shadowy figure that was blacker than black, clearly distinguishable from the rest of the darkness in the room, and almost as tall as the ceiling. It was slowly pacing back and forth between the exit door and the bathroom. I had to ask myself if what I was seeing was real. Somehow I sensed that this entity not only acknowledged my presence but wanted me to see it, and it felt evil. Terror started to set in to the point I thought I was going to lose my mind. I harnessed all the strength I could to reach for the floor lamp by the chair and quickly turned it on. The entity disappeared. It wasn't until my narc husband introduced me to Christian truther YouTube videos like KJ Osborne, Face Like the Sun, and View from the Bunker, and the paranormal side of Christianity that I realized what I seen that night. Many people have experienced being in the presence of shadow people, which are believed to be demons or fallen angels, which are known to be very tall. They usually paralyze people with fear and have an evil presence about them. By accounts of some people, they disappear only by invoking the name of Jesus Christ. I had put my experience in the back of my mind until my borderline mother-in-law, who lived with us, got sick with a serious stomach flu and barricaded herself in her bedroom suite for 3 days before asking me to take her to the emergency room. She was in a fog and looked horrible, since she had both constant vomiting and diarrhea that whole time. As I was driving her, she told me that there were 3 shadow figures that were blacker than black and very tall standing around her bed. They even followed her into her bathroom. Ollie, that freaked me out because I never discussed her experience. Ollie, that freaked me out because I never discussed with her my experience after I met her son years later. She was treated for dehydration at the hospital and she ended up being okay. What she told me struck in my mind. My mother-in-law is the type of narc who energetically sucks all the air out of the room with her presence. She is also very passive-aggressive and liked to spread rumors and lies about me around our small town. Having her live with us was like having a rude, spoiled teenage girl around. When things didn't go her way, she'd slam kitchen cabinets or barricade herself in her room with a handwritten sign not to disturb her unless some sort of act of contrition was done. I just came to the conclusion that she was evil. It makes sense why all 6 of her children, including my husband, are so messed up, in spite of being Christians. You know, you also gotta, and I discussed this personally with KJ, about demons. And a lot of times I think demons, I understand what you're saying, the spiritual, the shadow, and ghosts. And believe me, I believe in that. I've experienced it firsthand. And I've talked about my experiences with shadow ghosts working in Macy's and the history there of my original store. Where, you know, I saw stuff. But a point I had made with KJ is, look, all this super Christianity and religion stuff, it's usually worship of oneself. When they're talking God, they're talking religion, they're saying that in the deity form because they are the deity. And there's nothing more evil and self-serving than serving oneself, I think, in the eyes of Satan, Lucifer, whatever form of hell or leader of hell you're looking at. What serves more evil than the serving of oneself? So you are your own demon. You make the choice. That's the free will. You can be the demon, or you can live right, or you could be virtuous. But the choice is yours. You go back and forth. There isn't necessarily a physical demon. You are the demon. Your free will allows you to be the demon or the angel. There's no force other than your own morality and free will. That's not to say I don't believe in spiritual stuff as well, because I've seen it. I think the thing is just so complex. I mean, you can go on for hours and hours. I mean, this is the type of stuff that KJ, and if you start thinking about this, this is the kind of stuff that KJ's channel, you know, really specializes in. When I told my husband about what my mother told me, he casually revealed that he used to have recurring dreams as a child about a shadow person namely the Hat Man, who wears a fedora. He would dream that the Hat Man would put his family through a meat grinder. Mind you, this happened to him in the mid-'80s, before the internet, and when the knowledge about the Hat Man was widely spread. No, if it was the mid-'80s and he's talking about a meat grinder and a hat, I guarantee he's talking about Children of the Corn. Look, if he's a narc, he can pull this shit out and he can make up a lie on the fly. Okay, what's scary? What's scary from my childhood? That scene in the beginning of the Children of the Corn, they're wearing those scary hat man. Trust me, he's pulling some of this shit out of midair. Okay? Because a lot of this super religious stuff is a scam. It's a dog and pony show. And these guys have to be able to pull their bullshit on the fly. From what you're describing, that's the original Children of the Corn movie. It was that moment that it all came together for me. Why I had a vision of my husband in front of a satanic pentagram after praying to God for clarity about the constant trouble in our relationship. Why I had a dream about him being a creepy, faceless clown threatening me. And why I always felt uneasy around him. He and his entire narc family were under demonic influence. And when I first met him, the shadow person I encountered must have come from him and followed me back to Oklahoma. My life, which was a very happy one, took a bad and confusing turn after allowing him in it. When I told him how I had never seen a shadow person until after meeting him, he got very angry and deflected in typical narc fashion. He said it was because I practiced tarot cards, astrology, and other occult practices. I did practice those things since I was a teenager and stopped when I met him in hopes to be a more committed Christian. But I told him it still didn't explain why I saw that dark entity only after I met him instead of years earlier. He got even more angry and the conversation just continued in circles like all of our other arguments. One of my friends was married to an abusive narcissist for 30 years before he died. She told me how once in the middle of the night while he was sleeping, she saw a shadowy figure lift out of his body and float to another room. She asked me if I believed her, then I told her my story. I don't think it's a coincidence that the most common terms used for cluster Bs are demons and monsters. I think there is some part of us that is perceiving what is really controlling them in the spiritual realm. When you look at the characteristics of a narcissist, it corresponds perfectly to that of a demon. Evil, enjoys causing human suffering, sabotaging, and hating happiness, and all that is good, for example. I also want to add that my husband is deathly afraid of dolls and figurines without faces. I always thought this was a very weird quirk, but now I see that it is tied to his narcissism. I wouldn't be able to read a person without a face or figure out his next move to manipulate and destroy them. I imagine that he fears faceless figures because on a deep level, it represents a loss of his ability to control, which is the main motivation for all narcs. It's like the gray rock technique represented in an inanimate object. What are your thoughts on all this, Surviving Babylon? Well, Jesus, there is a lot to unwrap here, and I don't know if there's not enough late night bong sessions that you can have to unwrap this. Well, I think the reason he was getting so mad when you were calling him on it is because, look, I think he made this stuff up about his history on the fly because he knows how to feed. I guarantee you he's a master liar. He can make up a lie like that and then make up a believable lie like that. Correct? So when you're able to do that, you're basically able to play off somebody's story. If somebody's telling you something emotional that's happening, now you're going to try to use this as a hoover, as an anchoring technique. That is the perfect opportunity to anchor you in and to draw you into something, to make him think he's some kind of supernatural demon type. Now, he's evil. Do I think narcissists necessarily have some kind of, supernatural demonic power. I go both ways on this because, look, my grandmother Virginia, she had power. That old Armenian bitch had power. She could whoosh the Malukia on you, the evil eye, and goddamn it, if she laid it on you, you were screwed. And I've spoken about this before. There's a few people in my family that have this power. Some stronger than others. My mother's younger sister's got it. I got it. And my fear is not my fear. What I know is my daughter could be the perfect mix of intelligence, looks, balls, and self-esteem. She could be the perfect demon. It's scary, it is. And as nutty as it might sound to some people is, these people got to be super. I don't necessarily think they're supernatural, though. Like I've said, I've seen some freaky shit go down. I knew my grandmother was gonna die within 10 minutes. And I said in the shower, that's it, just put her down. Got out of the shower. My ex-wife's like, your mother called while you're in the shower. Your grandmother just died. Like that. So I get it. Now, does that make me more connected to something more demonic? Or I don't know. Maybe it's more connected to where our place is in the universe. Who knows? We still don't understand our bodies, our minds, how we communicate, communications on other levels. So who knows there as well. I think narcissism comes off as supernaturally demonic because of how much damage it does. And at the end of the day, I think it's a cop-out. It takes away blame of the choice. Because at the end of the day, it's all about free will, isn't it? That's what, using Christianity, using the Judeo-Christian, God gave us all free will, right? That's my whole point with the narcissist, with the borderline. They choose this free will. Don't write it off as being demonic, because that lets the choice, the free will, off the hook. You can't let the demon in unless you choose to. It's still about free will. It's still about the choice, which is why it's so damaging. Because we don't want to believe that they chose this. You don't want to believe. You want to believe it's some supernatural thing. You want to believe it's some demonic thing that they... No, they still chose it. No matter what you do, no matter which way you slice it, no matter if you try to make it demonic or not, even if it is demonic. Okay, it is demonic. You still have to make the choice to let it in. We still have free will. It's still a choice. It doesn't matter. It's a cop-out. So you can have the debate about the supernatural, the religious, all that stuff. That's great. It's great. It's fun. Some people take it, they live by it. They live by it more strictly than others. But it's not the point. And that's the problem a lot of times with organized religion. It's people looking for a cop-out. A cop-out and a shield to abuse. Doesn't matter. You can discuss whether it's demonic or not and what we do about those demons. But we know those demons can only come in if we allow them in. So it doesn't really matter whether they're demonic or not. Because like every narcissist, every borderline, every histrionic, they choose this. So thank you so much for your contribution, Surviving Babylon, and your story. I hope this helped. I hope you liked it. Really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comments section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, phone call, have a private video made, or a Facebook live chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or you just want to make a contribution to the channel in general, to support it, help it grow, keep the lights on and the bills paid, because this channel survives 100% contributions by all of you. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more of it, you know what to do with the PayPal and email link in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been the Narcissistic Resistance. Take care.